This video will be life changing for you if you want to get your ex back. I'm very excited to introduce to you an expert in this field, someone who specializes in helping people getting back with their exes. This wonderful coach and soul has helped me, along with thousands of others, through the process of breakup recovery. He was also my coach and my light during a dark time where I felt completely lost and heartbroken a couple of years ago. In this interview, you will learn what to do first when you've just been broken up with and what can absolutely sabotage your chances of getting back with the man you love. We'll discuss why no contact is a great idea and how to navigate it. You will also learn the differences between men and women in breakup recovery, and spoiler alert, men love to chase. And we'll also discuss on how to approach breakup recovery if you're still in contact with your ex. So the goal of this interview is helping you creating a game plan, a step-by-step game plan, so you'll be able to navigate this breakup recovery and get back with the one you love. So let me introduce you to the expert I had the pleasure of interviewing a short while back, Coach Adrian from With My Ex Again. I'm thrilled, I'm excited, and very humble to be here today with you, Adrian. Let's dive into how do you get back with an ex? What are those steps for the women that are listening to this episode?
Dear Maria, you're way, way too kind. And I am the one that is super excited and joyful to be able to come on your platform and to learn together and to share some things that I've learned along the way and to help amazing ladies to repair broken love and to rebuild healthy relationships. So thank you for this opportunity.
Yeah, let's dive into it. First of all, I'm very, very, very excited to have you here, my coach in very, very, very dark days at that time, and you were really my light at that time. I could even say depressed because my ex broke up with me. I was completely lost, didn't know what to do. And then there was you with the channel, with myexagain.com. And I started watching a lot of videos and I got more excited about the idea it was possible to get my ex back. But at the same time, I felt like that I was such in a dark place and I needed more help. And I reached out to you and it just changed a lot of things for me. My way of looking at relationships, but also at myself. And I can honestly say you have the kindest soul, the kindest heart. And I'm truly, truly, truly excited to be here for my followers to also help them in a dark period of their life of where they want to get their love of their life back. They might even have children, might not have children, but a lot is at stake. Your heart, your love, and getting back with an ex can be a tremendous, amazing experience. And I want to dive in with you. What are the steps to get back with an ex? Because I can imagine their steps is not just, okay, you break up and then you get back together. To really solidify a good foundation, you need to take the steps and build in a proper way together. So what are the steps to get back with an ex, Adrian?
Well, Maria, first and foremost, thank you so much for the kind words. Last time we were talking, I asked you, please don't make me cry. And I feel like you're trying again to make me cry. But, you know, we're blessed to do what we do and to accompany individuals in what is most important to them, their love life, their relationships. And just as much as perhaps you feel like I touched your heart and your life, you also touched my heart and my life. And I learn through amazing individuals like you every single day. And then it's that experience and that knowledge that is shared with others. And I cannot really take any credit for that. So, thank you for the kind words and thank you for inviting me on your channel, and I'm so excited that you have started this project, and that you're going to be able to also accompany and touch many lives. So as you were sharing, yes, the process of going through a breakup is quite difficult and painful for a lot of people. And oftentimes, you are lost, right? I often refer to a post-breakup identity crisis, because that's what happens. After a breakup, you are in a state of crisis, because you have plans, a vision of a future, a vision for what you want or what you feel like your life is going to be like with someone. And then all of a sudden, from one day to the next, that is shattered. And so that crisis can be quite challenging for people. And many people are in a state of despair. Many people can even be in a state of depression. And scientific studies have shown repeatedly that actually at the time of a breakup, the pain that you feel activates the same areas in your brain as physical pain, or when you are mourning the loss of someone that you love. So it's very real. This is not over dramatic or anything like that. I know because I've worked with thousands of people who are going through a separation. And so very often the first step is to learn to cope and to manage that pain, to not let it overwhelm you, and to not let it trigger negative actions that will make you feel worse about yourself and also push this person that you love away. Because the natural reaction is to tell this person how much we care, how much we love them, how we're prepared to do anything to save the relationship, because we hear them now, we see their struggle, but we're dealing with another individual who perhaps is in a more selfish mindset, or who feels like they need to prioritize, their own well-being, and they don't want to invest in the relationship anymore. So the first stage really is helping individuals understand what they are going through and cope with the pain in a healthy way. And because we are dealing with an identity crisis, the next step is centered around learning who you are again, outside of this relationship. What makes you happy? What are your values? How can you take action, small steps each and every day to rebuild your confidence, your sense of well-being, and so that you can actually position yourself in a way where a new relationship can flourish with this person that you love, or you are better equipped to move forward and to move on with your life, because not all relationships are meant to be saved or salvaged, as you know. So in a nutshell, this is where the process begins.
So basically what you're saying, the process of getting back with an ex, or it starts with that, is that it takes two steps. So pretty much the first step is actually this, like, really grounding yourself and sitting with the pain, even though it is very, 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 very painful. And second is actually getting yourself back in being happy. Maybe not necessarily excited, I don't know about that, but at least that you rebuild your life, that you're happy again. Is that right?
So it starts with understanding what is happening to you, right? If we don't understand what is happening to us, it's difficult to cope, it's difficult to have a plan, it's difficult to make progress. That's why I was trying to share some scientific studies, what is actually happening, etc. Also, it's managing the emotions, not necessarily coping, because coping has like a passive connotation where you're just like sitting back and like waiting to pass. Actually, no. I want you to be active. I want you to be dynamic. I want you to do things to help manage those emotions, right? So that, because a lot of times this is where mistakes happen. If you're not aware of what is happening to you, and if you're not in motion, the right type of motion, centered around rebuilding yourself, then you're going to start to seek the validation from this person who just told you they don't want to be with you. And so, and the best way to do that is by focusing on what you can control, a process of personal growth, of rediscovering yourself again. But if I may preface this, because maybe a lot of individuals on your channels will wonder, gee, why would I want to get my ex back, right? If you if you are not if you've never been through a breakup, this notion of going back into a relationship that just ended can even sound weird or counterintuitive. And the reality is that most people feel that if a relationship has not worked out, that it's just not meant to be, that you're just not with the right person, it's not your soulmate, plenty of fish in the sea, you're better off without them, right? But based on my experience, what I have seen is that many times you are with the right person, you just don't have the right tools. You're not equipped to communicate the right way, to understand actually what this person is feeling, what they're trying to communicate to you, because we're not taught these things in school. And so it's easier to just kind of cut the relationship short and try to like deal with your feelings and with yourself in an individualistic way, rather than to try to grow through the pain in unity with this person. So it can be the right person, but you may not have the right tools, or it may not be the right time. And if you don't learn from that experience, either to repair the relationship or for yourself moving forward, the risk is that you will face the same tests and challenges in your next relationship. And that's why this process is actually quite important and why I do what I do. So I just wanted to kind of share that as well with the friends who may be thinking, what is this guy talking about, you know?
Why would you want to get back with an ex? It's an ex for a reason. Right. Yeah, I can absolutely relate to that. And I think it is also, from my experience, also very important to check, is this, on one hand, yes, what you say, I totally agree. But on the other hand, really reevaluate your relationship. Because I deal with a lot of women, unfortunately, who had to deal with very unhealthy men. So yes, I totally agree that sometimes we don't have the tools. I call them skills, relationship skills, and therefore relationships end. Exactly what you say as well. I can definitely be, that was not the right time. But what I also see is that there's a lot of women, men as well, it's not just women, of course, but women are my clients, and that they end up in very unhealthy relationships. So maybe a step that can be added is really evaluate, if you want to get back with an ex, if you decide to get back with an ex, is really evaluate, is this person actually really healthy for me? But by the first two steps that you mentioned, you get back on your own feet and you step away from it. And that's why it's also very important to take that as, I think, the first two steps, to sit with your emotions. I mean, sit with them. I always say, just feel them. Don't act upon them necessarily, but see this as a way to grow as a person and get back on your feet. And then you can detach yourself a little bit from what is really happening and then decide, do I want to indeed try to get back or not? But if we are just broken up with, it's like our heart is being ripped out of our chest and we want to get that back.
I absolutely agree. And in every private coaching session that I do with an individual who comes to me to try to repair their relationship, I walk them through that process of understanding for themselves if this is the right goal, if this is the right relationship for them. But until you have been able to take a step back, to detach, to process your emotions, you're not in a position to actually tell. It's like you have blinders. You cannot. You're completely overwhelmed by the emotions, and you're focusing on everything that you've lost, all the quality traits and attributes that this person possesses, and the rational side of your brain is completely turned off, and you're falling in love with the potential of what the relationship could have been, instead of looking at it objectively for what it was. And in addition to that, in order to rebuild a new and improved relationship, both parties have to evolve. Both parties have to do the work. Both parties have to grow and take some level of accountability. And this is something that individuals also have to kind of accept. Like, they have to first and foremost accept it at the level of thought, but then that needs to also permeate through their actions in the way that they behave and engage with this other person that they love.
Yeah, beautiful. And let's say that this person is definitely a person that I want to get back with. So let's say indeed they took the first step, they regained themselves, they are a bit more happy now, they have gained perspective, maybe also a little bit already. What would be the next step? Because you always speak about the no contact rule, and I love that. I love the no contact. It's so freaking, so, sorry to say so, but so hard to do it. But it is super, super, super effective. First and foremost, because you start to regain control over yourself, your emotions. You start to focus on yourself. But it also has an effect on the other person.
Right.
And I'm quite excited to speak about that, because we're very often afraid to step back from the person that we love. And we think that once we step away, they're going to walk just out the door and you will never hear from them ever again. So I'm quite excited to talk about that, the no contact. I know you're really big on that as well. So
Absolutely.
Tell me all about it.
Yes, absolutely. So in the context of, one must approach the process of rebuilding a relationship as an exercise in personal growth, in transformation. And it is very challenging to do so while communicating with your significant other at a time of heightened emotion. We must set boundaries, like we were just talking about, in order to regain control of our emotions, to understand what went wrong, to put a plan in place as to what we are going to do, to not just work on ourselves, but also to reconnect and to with this person that we love. And also to make sure that we avoid making common mistakes, and to create the right conditions for this other person to also start to realize what they've lost. Because just like an individual who is being broken up with oftentimes only focuses on what they're going to lose, a person that is initiating a breakup is focused solely on what they could gain by being more free. They don't understand that there are negative implications with a separation. You're opening Pandora's box. It's like a blank canvas. And in your brain, you're seeing this beautiful painting that you're going to paint. But then you actually have to pick up the brush and start painting. And sometimes, very often, the painting doesn't match what you thought it was going to be like. And you have to start to face your own fears, your own the same challenges that probably were there all along in the relationship. Well, they're now dissociated from this other person, and you have to confront your own ego, your own self. So just like we were talking about, this process is about co-creating a new relationship. And we need to create the right conditions for us to grow, to be ready for that, and also for our significant other to start to take accountability and to start to value you again and to start to work on themselves. And based on my experience, in 90 to 95% of cases, you need to be able to set boundaries in order to set the tempo, to pull away on your own terms, to start to be in charge of your own emotional destiny, to not continuously be triggered. And so no contact is much, much more than just a communication strategy. It's not about just shutting your ex out and stonewalling them. That's not healthy. It's really an opportunity to work on your mindset and to create the right conditions to reconnect with them in a healthy way. So I hope that this gives you a broad overview of how I approach this notion of no contact when an individual does reach out to me.
Yeah, because I remember you, if I remember this well, you call it active no contact, if I'm correct. If I remember, because it's been years, of course, that I have been watching the With My Ex Again videos. But I think you called it active no contact, if I'm remembering.
Absolutely. Because it's not just sitting there and doing nothing. You know, a lot of people feel like, okay, I'm going to do nothing. I'm going to just sit there. I'm going to wait. But no, you're actually, you have to act, right? No contact is an action. You are choosing not to communicate in order to act on yourself and really to rebuild yourself. We're going to shatter this post-breakup identity crisis by removing certain triggers, by not obsessing over the end result of getting back together at all costs and as quickly as possible. And we are going to better ourselves in the process. That's what this is all about. That's why I love what I do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, awesome. Awesome. Because it's really laying the foundation for the next relationship, whether that's with your ex
or with someone else.
Exactly. So the no contact can be divided into several steps, let me put it then this way. Yes. But what happens in the no contact? Because I can imagine, okay, you decide I go no contact. But it is not that you decide I go no contact and that the ex sort of knows that you go no contact, and they don't throw you like a boomerang, like something that's going to trigger you. There's a big chance that will happen. So how do you handle that? Because I've noticed that they come sniff around. They're like, what's happening in there? They don't necessarily immediately say, I want you back. Sometimes that might happen. But very often they just start sniffing around. Well, you are in no contact. You're like, no, I need the no contact. I need to work on myself. I need to get back control over my emotions. I need to figure out what was the problem in our relationship. And it's maybe like, help me. What do I do now? My ex is actually reaching out to me. I'm excited at one hand, but on the other hand, am I ready for this? How do I navigate this? Can you tell me a little bit more
Absolutely.
about that?
I love that you raised this question. And the reality is that each dynamic is unique. And you cannot just copy paste a technique and approach that you learn about on the internet and apply it without using your own judgment. Like, you have to read the reality of the situation that you're in. And that's why this process is about raising your emotional intelligence and not just trying to manipulate your ex into missing you and coming back. It's much more profound than that, right? And so in certain cases, you are obliged actually to communicate. Maybe you have a child together and you need to arrange pickups and drop-offs in schools. Sometimes you still live together because you can't afford to move out, or because you're caught in a lease that you signed together. Or sometimes you work together. You have a business with this person and you're no longer, together. There's this young lady not so young, but this lady that I'm working with at the moment in Miami. She owns a soccer football business with her ex-husband. They separated. They still have to see each other and deal with each other. So it's not just about ignoring them and pulling away. It's really about distancing yourself emotionally and being wise in how you choose to engage with them. So, it's actually not as frequent where I would suggest to completely ignore during a period of no contact. If you were with someone who was disrespectful, was very negative, was putting you down, if the dynamic felt toxic to you, or if you get triggered and it leaves you feeling down every time you communicate with them, then there's no point in communicating with them. We need to tell them, I need to heal. And it's not just pulling away without giving them a warning or a notice. It's okay to let them know, hey, I respect your decision. I'm going to focus on me. It's probably best for us to not communicate for a little while. So that's okay. In other cases, what we're just trying to convey to them is detachment and acceptance. We have accepted that the relationship is over. We can still communicate, in a mature way. But what we're not going to do is talk about the past, talk about what went wrong, relive the breakup, talk about a future together, or just kind of pour our emotions out saying, I miss you, I love you. Like, this type of communication is, in the overwhelming majority of cases, negative. So as long as you have a renewed sense of confidence, a renewed sense of well-being, and a sense of self-awareness, and you are able to set these emotional boundaries, then communication is okay. But if you're unable to do those things, then yeah, it is probably best to take a step back and not engage with this person until you feel ready to.
Nice. Yeah, great. Yeah, fantastic. I can imagine it's very, very hard, especially if you work with your ex or if you have children together, you live together, you even go to the same gym. It doesn't matter. It really, sometimes it is harder. No contact might even be harder if the person that you love and you want to get back with and have to do no contact on is actually still in your life, because it's fairly easy to detach yourself, to go no contact if it's just you. But if he's still in your life, he or she, that might be a little bit harder.
So there's actually different stages, right? Initially, after the breakup, it's more difficult when you have to deal with each other a lot, because you're more easily triggered, and so you're more likely to make mistakes. But actually, the more time passes, or the quicker you are able to be in this right mindset, then the better it is to see each other. And then it becomes actually an advantage or a benefit to bump into each other at the gym or at drop off or going to pick up the kids at school and seeing each other, or even living together, because you have evolved and you are a living, breathing proof of that transformation. And they have to deal with their decision in real time every time they see you. And so if they see you smiling, doing great, living with purpose, like I like to say, then the shift occurs. The pressure is now on them to make sure that they don't lose this person that they probably still love, but didn't feel like they could be happy with, you see.
Yes, exactly. If you can regain your own happiness, that's extremely attractive.
Yes.
If you can get back to an emotional, okay state of being, as well as, of course, then, because it is not completely the same, but it is at the same time your happiness, that you're thriving again in life, is extremely sexy. If you think about it yourself, what do you find very attractive in a person? And that is a person that's happy, that is grounded. It doesn't mean grounded that the person is like myself. I can be very excited. I might not look grounded, but at the same time I am. But this is just extremely attractive. So you have to think in what's in it for them to get back with me. And it is not if you're completely depressed and you're just saying, I love you, I want to get back with you, I cannot live without you. That's just not sexy. So as you said before, you need to regain your emotional state and be happy.
This
again.
is the beauty of this process. It's about developing qualities of the heart. And at the time of a breakup, usually both people are enmeshed in ego. You're consumed with self, either my emotions, my fears of losing them, of them, finding someone else, forgetting about me, poor me, or it's the other way around. It's my freedom, my independence. I have the right to be happy too. I deserve to focus on me. And based on what you're saying, actually you're learning about selflessness, about considering the needs of another person that you deeply care about. And true love is selfless. True love is detached. And so, this process obviously doesn't end when two people get back together or when two people actually heal and move on. It never ends. So you always have to learn to nurture healthy love. And in a time of crisis, after a breakup, well, you have extra focus and extra motivation, and a big shift can happen very quickly. And it's in these times of crisis that change happens radically, very quickly. And so it's the cycle of crisis and victory applied to the process of a broken heart.
Yeah, beautiful. Definitely. You're being put with your back against the wall and the only way is forward. So I completely agree with that. So let's move forward in the steps, because I'm quite curious how you navigate moving forward. Because okay, you have no contact, you're gaining yourself, your happiness, and then eventually, if they don't reach out themselves, which might happen in the process, which I would also really like to discuss, to be honest with you, because you say, okay, don't go like completely no contact unless, let's say, they've behaved in a toxic way. But what I also sometimes see, and maybe I work with women that deal with men, what I very often see is the guy breaks up with her. Of course, he's like, I broke up. I'm like, there's a part of him that is like, I finally did it. I'm the not necessarily the winner here, but they feel indeed their ego is being fed. But then once you go no contact, and they're like checking their phone, haven't heard from her in 2 days, haven't heard from her in 3 days, 4 days, and they actually start missing you. And very often it happens that they start reaching out to see if you're still there. Testing, not necessarily to get back with you, but just testing to see if you're still there. How can you navigate that before maybe we move forward to, let's say, you've been able to do no contact, there has not been a reach out from your ex whatsoever, and how do you move forward from there? But this is also quite tricky because this happens a lot. And how do you navigate that? Because you're so excited that they reach out, but at the same time, it's sometimes just breadcrumbs. They miss you. They might even say, I miss you. And that's it. They don't necessarily move forward. They don't get back with you. So how do you navigate that?
So this is where the importance of having a plan comes into play. If you don't have a plan, then you're kind of riding an emotional roller coaster. If this person gives you attention, yeah, you're high. If they don't give you attention, yeah, you're low. And you kind of react to what they do. But that's not what we want to do. What we want to do is to have our plan, our daily steps, our actions that we're focusing on, so that no matter what they do, we are grounded and we're more prepared to deal with those breadcrumbs or those tests. Ultimately, again, you have to be able to handle those types of interactions with detachment. So in some cases, if the communication is negative, I would suggest to not even engage with it, right? If they're testing you in a way that is not, that makes you feel triggered, like we talked about, it's better to not. If indeed they're coming to you and expressing remorse or a desire to connect, well, the key is to make sure that you don't give them too much validation, too much reassurance, where they feel like, oh, okay, she's still there. I could still get her back if I wanted to. I'm okay. I have the best of both worlds and I go back, right? The worst example of that is sleeping with this person too quickly. And then it's like, well, I definitely have this, all locked up. And many people, unfortunately, make that mistake. They feel like, oh, if we're intimate again, it means that we're creating a new sense of emotional connection and attraction. It means it doesn't necessarily mean that. It's better to have a commitment, a firm commitment, like that this person is able to articulate the fact that they want to be with you. They're able to articulate how things have changed. They're able to apologize, and you see through their actions that they mean their words before taking that step. In most cases, I think that would be the prudent, safe approach. But if it's simply an I miss you text, I don't have an issue with you saying, I miss you too. I don't have an issue with you mirroring their behavior. My issue is when then they take a step and you take a bigger step towards them. This is where then, it leads to setback. We don't want to put them in a position where they have to remind you that you guys are no longer together. We're trying to create the conditions for them to feel like it is their decision to be with you and not something that you are pushing for. So that can be applied very differently depending on the reality. But you also know this man that you're dealing with. And sometimes it's perhaps out of habit. Just because you're broken up doesn't mean that certain habits are gone. And perhaps, they're used to calling you babe, and so they're going to call you babe. But don't read too much into it. It's a slip of the tongue. Other times, you can tell by their approach, by their words, that actually they're feeling super emotional. They're feeling the loss. And in that case, then you can tell them, well, I've accepted your decision. What is this? What are you doing? Like, why are you telling me you miss me? What are your intentions, right? Because if you're not coming to try to make things right and to rebuild this relationship the right way, what's the point? So you need to have the confidence to do that, right? And the self-awareness to be able to, again, see what this person's intentions are. And it's difficult to have that clarity unless you've done the groundwork, unless you've pulled away, unless you've started to work on yourself, move forward, create that identity, keep your schedule busy with specific actions that can help you to rebuild specific qualities, and then you're better equipped to make that judgment in real time as to what is this type of communication? Is it positive? Is it negative? How do I feel? Am I ready to engage in that way?
Yeah, beautiful, beautiful. I see this like an internal boundary. Like, if you decide to not be with me, then that's indeed your decision. But then at the same time, I respect my own boundary as well, my inner boundary, that I'm not going to fall into the trap or to get into the gray zone with you. No, it's either we're doing this together or we don't do it together.
Yes. Well, just to clarify, sometimes the gray zone is okay in that certain individuals need to experience the relationship again and the presence before they are ready to commit. Like, they need to see that they feel good around you, that you guys can laugh again and do these fun things before they're ready to commit. They won't jump from A to Z. But the gray zone where you're giving them validation, giving them attention, hanging out with them whenever they want, sleeping with them if they want, that's the negative gray zone.
Exactly. It is more what I mean with that you end up in the green zone. You have no idea where you stand with this person. If they are really trying to get back with you or just playing with you, you might end up in there. You don't want to stay in a green zone for too long. You want to get either in or out eventually. And I don't necessarily mean that you have to get back into a relationship immediately, but more know the intention of the person. Is this person still trying to have me around as a friend or as a whatever? Or is this person really trying to rebuild a relationship? I think that is a very, very, very big difference. And I can completely understand that this person has been hurt as well through the relationship. There's a reason this person broke up. And there needs to be a period of building trust again, in that this person can be happy with you again. So I completely understand that this person might be in, out, a little bit in your life, doubting. So this gray zone indeed it needs to be used actually. It is really starting over, I think, with dating each other. I always speak about the 3 stages of dating in my work. First stage is you just met each other. So it's really the initial stage. Second stage is exclusivity stage. And the third stage is relationship stage, where you really start building and see if this person can really be the one for you. But when you break up with a person, I think you start pretty much from square one again. It's not necessarily that you have to meet them again for the first time, but it's really starting the process all over. So I think what we, at least, if I can speak for myself, what I always think in getting back with an ex is, we broke up, I want you back, let's jump back into this new relationship. And you already said, well, pretty much you need to do the groundwork for that. But you really need to think, at least that's how I see it, that you're starting over, completely dating, exclusivity stage, and then maybe relationship stage.
Absolutely.
How do you think about that?
I agree with you. What I will say is, dating without exclusivity after a breakup is a recipe for disaster. Like you should not willingly allow your significant other to see multiple people if you were already in a committed relationship. Like that downgrade is very difficult to then re-upgrade, right? Because you've lowered your standards, you see. And once you do that, not only have you lowered your standard, you're also perhaps compromising your values. No one wants to see the person that they were with exclusively now seeing someone else and being okay with it and pretending like, we're brushing things under the rug. So, of course, there's cases where you're left for someone else, and that involves like a particular dynamic and a conversation, all of its own that we can navigate, that we could discuss at another point. But I don't want to get into so much of the granular details of this process and lose your dear audience.
Oh yeah, of course I understand completely. On the other hand, at that moment you're really looking for those details. But I also know that personal coaching is very important in this process. So do reach out to Adrian if you're in a process of getting back with an ex, because this takes a plan. This takes, as Adrian is saying, get back to yourself, your happiness, that you're grounded, you're confident. This needs a plan. You cannot just wing this yourself. If you're really serious, then please take action and reach out to an expert like Adrian. So I completely agree, because there's so many buts and whys and hows and to this process. Let's move a little bit forward to the moment that you're back in contact. Mm-hmm. So this person reaches out and is like, I miss you so much. Let's try again. Is there anything you should be thinking of when that happens? Because I can imagine you get super excited, but are there any pitfalls, or is there a way to navigate this the proper way, or how does that work?
So we want a new beginning. We want new experiences, new memories, right? We don't want to bridge it and have a continuation of the old. And it's counterintuitive, because very often we just want things to go back to the way they were, and we're comfortable with what we know. But it's also very easy to fall back into old patterns and to become complacent. And so it's very important for you to have clarity as to the three things that you want to see in them, or the expectations that you have as to how you want them to nurture love, so that you can be very clear and not overwhelm them with too much emotion. And similarly, you need to be very clear with, what your significant other is expecting from you. And at the same time, we want this to happen very organically. Like when you first started to date, there was no plan. There was no, you just connected as two people and you fell for each other. And so we're trying to bring that same dynamic back again. And if you remember these principles, I think you're going to be just fine. But we don't want to bring up the past. We don't want to guilt trip them. And we don't also want to sweep things under the rug. It's okay to take things slow, while at the same time, make sure that you don't fall into this trap of waiting to be the perfect version of yourself to give this person another chance, because the perfect version of yourself doesn't exist. And so while we better ourselves, we are better equipped to nurture healthy love. And as we nurture healthy love, we better ourselves. So the process continues when you guys actually get back together.
Beautiful, beautiful. And do you see any differences between men and women in this process? Like how men might behave different than women when it comes to being broken up with, as well as how they maybe start chasing the woman again? Because I can really imagine, that I'm about the masculine feminine dynamic a lot, especially as a woman, when we start pulling away, that it might actually activate the guy's, let's say, masculine energy to chase you again, to want to be with you again. And how to navigate that, because I can imagine that as a woman, once you're trying to reconnect with this person, you cannot chase the person. I mean, never chase. Of course, I completely understand that as well. Like, even as a man, if there's no reciprocation, of course, that is not the way to go. But how do you navigate this as a woman? How do you navigate this as a man? First of all, the steps to reconnecting, but also what happens after that. Is there a difference? Let me just put it this way: in those stages of reconnecting and reconnecting even on a deeper level.
So yeah, I've seen patterns. Women are in general, of course there are exceptions, a lot better at communicating their emotions, how they feel, process their emotions by talking it out. And very often men, we are not as good in doing that, in being in a vulnerable position. And we would rather shut down, retreat, fall on our sword, like just move back. And it is also true that men, we love to chase. We love to be able to pursue, sometimes to a fault, because sometimes men can fall in love with the chase element of it and then kind of get bored or tired or not be able to transition into the next stage of the relationship, as you so eloquently put it. But ultimately, I think that a lot of the principles apply, whether you're a man or a woman. And it's okay for a woman to break no contact. It's okay for a woman to reach out first in a lot of cases, as long as you're not doing so from a place of fear, from a place of desperation, from a place of vulnerability. What I will say, though, is men have very fragile egos. And so be careful how you test that ego, because they may not have the capacity, the tools, the skills to be able to respond to that in a mature way. And the point is not to win an ego battle, to have the last word. The point is to rebuild healthy love. So I don't want women to feel like they have to wait to be chased, even though men are very visual creatures and we love to do that. And I also don't want men to feel like they have to do all the work. But let me give you an example. I'm coaching this young lady right now who is in London, who unfortunately there was infidelity that occurred, and she immediately told this person that she had been with for 11 years, and they had been living together, and he just kind of broke it off, accepted it, moved out, shut down. And what she wanted to do was to talk about it, to express her love, to really try to show him how much she cared. But the more she did that, the more he got angry, the more his ego got triggered, the more he was embarrassed in some ways. And what she later told me was, he did the same thing to me 7 years ago, and I forgave him. And I pushed him away, but really, I told him I didn't want to talk, but the reality is I wanted him to chase me. And so when he did, I forgave him. And so right now he's telling me also he needs space, but maybe he wants me to chase him. But no, he does not want you to chase him. And so that's the one difference that I can share that highlights this point as to the masculine and the feminine energy are different. And be careful not to chase a man, because it will push him away most often than not.
Yeah, and how could you get a man to chase you then again? Because this is a channel for ladies. So how could you get the man to chase you again, besides, of course, what you already mentioned, regaining control and being super ultra happy? And maybe I want to share one thing about this, because a lot of ladies will find it so hard probably to not to do anything, meaning go no contact or active no contact, that once you energetically even, so in your mind, take away the attention from the man, he will come back for you. There's a big chance he will come back for you. I have had it with an ex-boyfriend that I tried to get back. The moment that I was actually with another person for the first time, like on a first date. It's been months that I had heard from my ex. That evening he reached
Isn't
out.
that crazy?
It's like they can
The sixth
feel
sense.
it. The sixth sense. Yeah, they always say women are very intuitive, but some guys are too. And I noticed it that once you pull away pull your energy towards yourself,
Yeah.
that guys feel it. They come from everywhere. It might not be the only ex that's coming
That's true.
to look
That is true.
at what you're
That
doing.
is absolutely true. This dynamic is all centered around being a challenge again, valuing yourself, right? Not seeking the man's validation. The moment you stop seeking their validation, there's room for them to chase you. But if you are seeking their validation, there's no room for them to chase you. So how do we go about that, right? I often talk about creating the conditions for them to chase you. So first and foremost, yeah, it means pulling away. It means not, bombarding them. But beyond that, take a step back and try to really remember what was it about you that attracted this man in the first place. So I invite you to list out your quality traits and attributes. Why was this man attracted to you? And what was it about you that attracted him? Again, understanding, having clarity around those elements can then help you to put a tailored plan in place, small steps, actions every day to help you let those quality attributes shine. And the more you do that, the more you do things for you, because they bring you joy, they bring you purpose. The more you look good, the more you're smiling, the more you regain the sense of confidence, the more you put yourself out there again sometimes as well, the more you then create the conditions for them to choose you, because they see that you are a challenge again. And that's what happened with you, and that's what happened with a lot of women, that once something clicks, the man comes running back. And unfortunately for guys, a lot of times women then, they turn the page too. They can turn the page and say, you know what? Yeah, it's too late. You missed your window, man. You should have gotten your act together sooner. So that does happen quite a bit.
I have this client at this moment, and I'm coaching her on that she's dating a guy already for 6 months. They're not in a relationship, but he's probably avoidant, or maybe something else is going on, meaning he might have someone that she's not aware of. So he might be in a relationship with someone else, and he shows certain behavior, so he's not completely involved. So they see each other every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and then for a short period of time, she's never been at his place. And she's been letting this happen for 6 months. She is anxiously attached, so that is very often the reason why we see that women don't dare to set their boundaries, because they're afraid that the guy will start walking away. But the problem with that is, and that's what I want to, I want to build further on that with you, is that sometimes we women, and men probably as well, but mostly women, is we let those things happen to us for too much of a long time. We don't set our boundaries. We don't give the person really the chance to step up. And with that, we lose the love for that person. But by really being grounded in ourselves and really communicate what we need, what we want to that person, and really giving them the chance, instead of just complaining about what they're not doing, can really help you keep the love, actually. Because she was like, after now 6 months, I think I want to call this off, because this guy has been letting me down over and over and over again. But she has not set the boundaries. She has not helped him step into his power. And of course, I completely agree with her. But what I want to say with this is, sometimes we women lose the love. And if we would have acted ourselves a little bit different in the process, the guy might have really had the chance to step up. Because as I said, sometimes we women complain, and we don't really get the man activated to really do the things that we want him to do. And therefore we lose our love for that person. So it's really, really sad. And then it is indeed too late. But it's also very often how we say things to that person. And then you were saying tools in the beginning, and this is one of those things. You need to have the tools or the relationship skills to be able to navigate dating and relationships. So it's a bit sad sometimes that I see.
Was that individual able to articulate the reason why she lost interest or gave up hope?
Not yet, because he keeps on, and we just started working with each other like this week, literally. And now we just started to state the first boundary, which he had not done in the 6 months that they've been dating. And this is what I feel. I feel quite sad for this situationship, because if she would have started articulating her needs and her boundaries earlier on, the guy might have, I'm not going to say he would have, but he might have been able to really listen to what she needed. And then the relationship could have flourished. But sometimes we women just go on and on and on and on and on and on. We either complain too much, or we let the guy do whatever, and we're just too afraid to speak up. And then the love just disappears because we get sick and tired of the guy not stepping up.
Yeah, I'm so happy that this individual reached out to you. I'm so happy that you have started working together, because it's life-changing stuff. And what I learned as a coach is that, people are where they're at. People are where they're at. And it is not helpful for me to set expectations for how they should have acted or behaved, or what they could have done if they had the tools. They didn't have those tools. They didn't have that awareness. They didn't have those skills then. And that's why they're in the situation that they're in now. And then while working with you in this moment, she has the chance to completely transform her love life forever. If it comes at the cost of this relationship, that's sad and unfortunate, of course. But she's going to be better equipped no matter what. Because of this crisis, she now is in a position to learn. Whereas perhaps before, she would have never reached out to a coach. Something clicked and she realized, I cannot do this anymore. I need help. And in that process, skills are built and a different type of relationship can flourish now. And so I'm so excited for her that she chose to work with you, and that you have this clarity as to, what the next skill is that she needs to be in a different type of relationship. So regardless, the crisis will lead to a victory.
Definitely. I just wanted indeed to just help women see this, as sometimes we women do this out of the name of love. I'm not going to say anything or whatever it is. We just keep on going and lose the love for a man. And then we might end up breaking up with the guy ourselves as well. And it might not have been necessary if we had the tools, the skills to navigate relationships.
But it goes back to this fundamental understanding of like the purpose of relationships. And if a woman sees a man as someone who is responsible for their happiness, someone who needs to do certain things to fulfill them, it's challenging. The reality is that you're a unit and you need to work together to come up with a plan to help each other grow. And it's not just this man's responsibility to fulfill you. And one tool, one skill that I've learned that has been life-changing is this notion of consultation, right? Two people coming together and consulting. Okay, this is a challenge that we're facing, right? Both people feeling that they can share without judgment, without attacking the other, and seeking the truth, seeking a way forward with unity, trying to move forward as a couple and not getting stuck on this is my idea, this is my point of view, this is what I want, but no, what is best for us as a unit. And if you are acting in that way, communicating in that way in unity, and you can agree on the next steps and then act on those steps and then come back together and reflect again, without pointing fingers, without saying, I told you so, or you never do this, or you always do that, then as a couple, you're going to find solutions and answers. But if you're sitting here saying, this guy is just not doing what I want him to do, it's gonna be, it's at some point, it's, one or the other party is gonna get tired and fed up for being villainized,
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that doesn't work that way. And as you said before, we never learned this at school, and very often also not in the family that we came from, to really have healthy relationship skills, relationship tools. So this is a skill that you can learn and should learn, I think, if you want to be happy, want to have, I always say, sparkling, happy, healthy relationship. You need to have the skills in dating as well as in relationships to move forward. And sometimes our ego might get in the way. Like, I know how to handle this, I know how to do it, but do you really? I used to be that person that was like, I know how to do this. And even though I've studied this myself, sometimes I still have things in my relationship to this day that trigger me, that I need to grow further from. And as we said before in our interview together, the relationships are one of the greatest tools to grow as a person. And take it on in the breakup, in breakup recovery, in your relationship. And if you're dating, get the skills. You'll be thanking yourself forever once you really dive into this.
Absolutely. It's a learning journey. As a coach, I learn every day how to support other people and also how to be a better husband, a better man, a better father. And I learn new things every day. And understanding something conceptually is very different than applying it in your day-to-day life. So yes, we all need to continue to learn. And even, the greatest talents have coaches, have people that help them to own their skills. Tiger Woods has a coach. LeBron James has a coach. The greatest speakers and orators have speech coaches. Whitney Houston had a singing coach. So what I'm trying to get at is you need a posture of humility in order to really thrive in your relationship. And there's always going to be challenges, and you're always going to need to be able to learn how to overcome those challenges in unity. Challenge doesn't necessarily mean conflict. It doesn't necessarily mean negativity or pain. It can be addressed in unity and in a positive way. And that's what you're doing, and why I'm so excited that so many women are going to have the chance to continue to learn and walk this path of transformation and love with you.
Yeah, beautiful. And to start wrapping this up, to maybe give them like an overview of the steps in their head again, because we've been speaking quite a bit of time on this. So if you would really have like a drone view, what would be like, let's say step 1, 2, 3 in getting back with your ex, to really make a small summary of what we discussed today?
Step 1, take a step back and try to understand what went wrong and why. Because if you don't understand what went wrong and why, you cannot create a new and improved relationship, right? Step 2, make sure that you are engaged in a process to keep your emotions in check, to not dwell in negativity, to not let yourself fall into a state of desperation. And, that manifests itself in like begging, pleading, all those things. Step 3, actions. Every single day, you need to act in order to develop qualities of the heart, in order to kind of really improve on those things where you fell short in the relationship. And at the same time, to rebuild a sense of confidence and well-being, because those are the pillars of attraction. Step 3, showcase that new sense, confidence, well-being, and new pattern of habits through communication with your significant other. We want a new beginning. The old relationship is over. We need to accept that. We have detached from the breakup itself. We have started to now work through our way of the post-breakup identity crisis. We're a better version of ourselves. So it's a process of attraction again. Just like you did the first time when you guys met and fell for each other, you are together co-creating a new relationship, and that can happen very quickly, overnight, or sometimes it takes a little bit more time. But be patient, don't force the issue. Remember that this other person has to choose to want to be with you. And every day you get to celebrate small steps, small victories, because you're focusing on what you can control and a plan that you've put in place. And we're learning that internal sense of validation, of self-worth, of well-being. And the new relationship is the cherry on top of the cake, not the cake itself. And if you follow those steps, amazing things will happen. If this is the right person for you, you will be in a better, stronger, deeper relationship. And if it isn't the right person for you, it's going to become so obvious and so clear to you that you're going to be happy to move forward because you will have outgrown the relationship itself. And you'll be thankful for the tests, the challenges, the adversity, the pain, because it will help shape you into who you are destined to be. In a nutshell, that is the process. Many people aren't able to go through this process on their own because it's hard. It's the test of a lifetime. Many people reach out to me saying, this is the hardest thing I've ever had to gone through. And we're talking about people who have been battle tested. And so if you feel like you need support, reach out to us. That's why we're there. That's what we love to do. Our team has so many resources, free videos on YouTube, articles, free live trainings, courses, private coaching, you name it. And if you feel like private coaching may be the best route for you, you can book a free discovery call with someone on my team that's trained to really assess what you're going through, figure out if private coaching is the right fit for you, but also for us, and then to tell you, that is what the best coaching package could be for your situation. It's a free assessment call. I'll share the link with you, Coach Maria, so that you can share it with your community. And regardless what you choose to do, know that we're in your corner. We're here to support you as you fight the good fight, because that's what it's about.
I love that. I love to wrap it up with that. I completely agree with you. This is fighting the good fight. You do it for a good reason. So reach out to Adrian. I will share the link indeed in my description box below, so you can reach out, book your discovery call, and please do this because it's a hard time and you want to really have a plan to move forward. Just winging this is probably not going to work, and I can speak from experience. So yeah, do so. Please do so. Adrian, thank you
Coach
so much
Maria.
for
No,
being
thank
here.
you. Thank you. What an honor, what a joy it is to be able to connect with you again, to see that you're doing big things, that you're helping good people, amazing ladies. And I cannot wait to see, where you go next and to connecting with you again to hear about some of the success stories and the challenges and share mine as well with you.
Yeah, we have to do this definitely again, because what applies to getting back with an ex applies to dating as well. The principles of building attraction, confidence, it is pretty much all the same.
I agree.
So once you really understand this and embody it, so feel it on a deeper level, it is not so much about trying to get a partner then anymore, because you'll feel so confident that you will always be able to attract a partner and build an amazing relationship. So thank you, Adrian.
Thank
again.
you.
Would definitely love to dive into different topics with you and just pick your brain on many things.
Anytime.
So yeah, we should definitely do this more. And thank you everyone for listening. I really hope you gained some beautiful insight. At least I did. And I hope you did too. So see you on the next episode on this channel.